In order to help you proceed with your college applications, I've asked Alex, who's done research with the State Department, research with the embassy in Singapore, where he's at, and research with other counselors, even those here in Myanmar, even at the school he used to work at in Myanmar, to explain why the United States right now is not a viable option for any of our students. Alex, can you give us the background first, and then what you're advising your student, and then we'll finish up with what the other counselors are saying, as well as the State Department contact that Kimball was able to reach.
Okay, so I think in many ways there's a lot of reasons to avoid the United States right now, particularly if you're an international student. We do warn all of our international students, even if they don't have to worry about getting a visa, but there are other issues connected with the United States. And for me, the biggest concern I have is not necessarily visa issues. It's the long-term viability, economically speaking. If you're a foreign student, you are heavily dependent on an economy in the United States that can offer you internships, eventually hire you, go to bat for you when you're applying for a visa. And I think all of that is going to become a lot more challenging. And in fact, I think the universities aren't really sure of what's happening at this point. I think actually they, like many of us, are still, clutching to the idea that it's still 2024, and it is not. It is now a very, very different year. I also think, other parts of the world are growing in a way that the United States is not. And, I always take into account what is the long-term goal of a lot of our students. And for many of them, it is to gain experience, and for some of gain experience within their various fields. But for a lot of them, it may be to, live for a certain period of time outside of their home country. And what I'm seeing in parts of Europe is growth. What I'm seeing in China is very likely to be future growth. I think they're having some trouble right now, but I think they'll overcome it. And I think Hong Kong is also going to grow. And I think these areas are very likely to offer more for an international student. They're also somewhat more welcoming at this stage, at least from a governmental standpoint. But of course, I don't know. So I reach out, and I've contacted counselors all over the place, even inside Myanmar, where they would probably know best, I imagine. But also a lot of us, a lot of schools up and down the Southeast Asian Peninsula have students from Myanmar. And so, we ask around, and the response is 100%. Our Myanmar students are not applying to the United States. The view seems to be that why would you waste your time on something like that? We've all read the announcement from the Trump government via the State Department, and it's unequivocal. And I don't believe they're going to change their mind anytime soon. I suspect, in fact, there's going to be more countries that are going to be added to the list, and I don't think countries are going to be removed from the list. I suspect that very little attention is paid to the list once the list has been made. One of my colleagues has contact with a recently employed State Department official, and their view was this is not going to change, and that we have to all come to terms with it. The U.S. is just not an option anymore if you are from Myanmar. But I still wasn't happy with that. I still wanted to double check. So I wrote to an American university outside of the United States In this case, it was located in Korea. And I asked them, what do you think? I've got this student from Myanmar, et cetera, et cetera. And they said, yeah, well, we'd love to have him. Unfortunately, he would have to do 1 year in the United States in order to qualify for a degree. And it would be unfair of us to admit him kind of hoping that something would change. That's not the way we operate. We have to be upfront with a student from Myanmar that we're not a good option for them. So I think what we're hearing is pretty clear. I've also asked people, do they know, is there some kind of secret back door that maybe I don't know about? And everyone tells me, hey, if you discover it, I'd love to know what it is. And what that tells me is it doesn't exist. I think the Trump regime is going to be here for another 3 years, maybe more. And I don't think they're going to be changing this list anytime soon. So my recommendation is there are far better options. In other parts of the world, there are lots of options. Straight off the top of my head, the really strong ones that a lot of my students apply to will be Canada, Europe, the UK, and Australia. But also Hong Kong, very popular, although quite difficult to get into.
Okay, and just real quick, I'm looking at the list of our students, and it looks like a few of them are applying to Canada. Somebody is using Australia as a backup with the UK as their first option. We have people going to perhaps the Canadian University with economics, and then one person's leaving a lot of options open with Asia, Europe, and Australia all as possibilities. So those are the areas that we're working on. So I'm going to write to all the parents just to follow up, but I will attach this video to the follow-up of how their students are doing in their university process, so that during our week of vacation, your students can use this time away from school to apply for their next school, which at this time doesn't look like it's actually going to be viable to be the United States. Any final comments, Alex?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I think embrace the fact that there are these other alternatives out there. And I think in many ways, they're probably better alternatives. So Trump has done everybody a bit of a favor. It may not seem like it right now, but that's my sense of it.
Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and have a great afternoon, and greetings from your former home of Yangon.
Do you want to click stop recording just for a second?
I'm gonna just stop. Yep.